Welcome back to Movie House. I'm your host David, and with me, as always, is my co-host Connor.
I am Maximus Decimus Meridus, and I will have my podcast. I'm Connor, I'm here.
Very good.
I'm happy to be here.
Very good. Today we're going to be talking about Gladiator.
That's right, David. Released in the year 2000, brought to us by the man himself, Ridley Scott.
Yes, correct. And why are we covering Gladiator, Connor?
I'm glad you asked me, David. Well, it's because we're riding the algorithmic express that is Gladiator 2, starring Denzel Washington.
Yes, correct. Very good.
Do you have a Denzel Washington impersonation, David?
No, I'm very bad at my Denzel.
Give me your best. King Kong ain't got shit on me. That's what he says. I live here. No.
Well, we're off to a good start.
King Kong does have shit on me. King Kong has shit on me, I think. Give me your best Denzel impersonation. David, just try it.
Alright.
Oh God, it's like he's in the room with us now. I feel like I too am on an American Gangster. Malcolm X.
Mm-hmm.
Remember what Malcolm X said?
Alright.
You're damn right I do. It's the two famous quotes in regards to the civil rights movement. It's I have a dream and
Alright.
very good, David.
Yeah.
Okay. Maximus, this is a mirror of Erised. Shows you your wife and child. It's my Richard Harris.
Yes. Yeah.
Late career Richard Harris, obviously.
Yeah.
Aren't you going to ask me a question, motherfucker?
I am going to ask you a question. I was waiting for you to finish your Richard Harris impression. I thought there might have been more there.
I can't.
I think we're going to do an early career Richard Harris to double up on that one.
I don't know any films from his early career.
Neither do I.
I know him from Unforgiven, which is about 10 years before this.
Right, yeah.
I fucking love Unforgiven. Maximus. There's my Richard Harris.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was good. That was actually pretty close
Maximus.
to the way it sounds.
Maximus. I'm an old fool. Maximus.
Maximus. Hi.
I wasn't in The Prisoner of Azkaban. I just wasn't in it. Michael Gambon.
What's the son's name again? Was it Commodus?
Yes.
Commodus, yeah.
I have the fucking... It's Commodus.
That's what I said. Maximus. Commodus can't become emperor.
Now give me... what's it? Laurence Olivier. No. What's the fucking... Oliver Reed.
No difference.
Give me Peter O'Toole as Laurence Olivier.
Yeah, not happening.
That famous film Peter O'Toole was in, Lawrence of Olivier. I'm doing a bit because it's Lawrence of Arabia.
Yeah. Maximus.
I'm doing my
Commodus.
Russell Crowe.
Yeah, I can see the vaguely pissed off, vaguely confused look there. It's quite good. Are you in the fields? Are you in the wheat
I was
fields?
looking at the bird.
Right, aye. Oh, the robin, aye. That looked like a thick-ass bird that you were looking at.
That was me going back to the battle.
Right.
That was me going from bird to battle.
Right, that looked like it was going from bird to, I don't know, fucking furry scene bird.
We are covering Zootopia next year.
We are.
Next December. Set your calendars.
Yep. Maximus, Commodus cannot become emperor. You must take the mantle and deliver me a recap.
I will do what I can for Rome, my emperor,
For
my
the glory
Caesar.
of Rome.
What?
For the glory of Rome.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Alright, give me a fucking recap.
Well, you see, David, this is a film. The
Is it?
plot of this movie is that Richard Harris.
Marcus
Hold on.
Aurelius.
No, that's Maximus's. Yeah, Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, Marcus Aurelius, played by Richard Harris, is the Caesar of Rome.
Yes.
Caesar of Rome.
Yes.
And Russell Crowe plays Maximus, who's one of his generals, his main general, really.
Yeah.
And he's hit the end of his tenure as general, and he's won himself a plot of land and a bit of Rome, and the honour of retiring, essentially,
Yeah.
to be with his wife and son. But then Richard Harris's no good son, Joaquin Phoenix, playing the role of
Yes.
Commodus,
Yes.
murders him because he finds out that Richard Harris, Marcus Aurelius, wants Maximus
Mm-hmm.
to take over as leader and to take Rome back to being a republic,
Yeah.
which Commodus doesn't want. He wants to be the
wants.
new Caesar. He wants to take over
Yeah.
from his father and be ruler. And when you know it, Commodus kills Richard Harris, Marcus Aurelius rather, and Joaquin Phoenix at that point speaks to Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And Commodus brings Maximus to Marcus Aurelius' deathbed, basically,
Mhm.
after he's passed,
Yeah.
because he murdered him.
Yep.
He's like, well, I'll extend my hand to you to join under me as emperor, and I'll only do it once. And Maximus is like, the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Piss off. And he storms out, and Commodus has the guards come and try and kill him.
Yeah.
To kill him and to go out and kill his wife and son, so they'll meet him in the afterlife. But old Maximus gets the better of them and kills them and tries to ride home to save his family, but because he's injured he doesn't make it in time and they're dead.
Correct.
Then he gets picked up by some slavers and sold to Proximo,
Mm-hmm.
played by Oliver Reed.
Yes.
And Oliver Reed turns him into a gladiator, and eventually the titular gladiator,
Mm-hmm.
so that you can get close to Commodus and hopefully kill him or something.
Yeah.
And maybe
Get
he
his
starts an
revenge.
uprising, maybe he doesn't, and eventually in the end he gets revenge. He murders Commodus. He is able to essentially do what Marcus Aurelius wanted and send Rome back to a republic.
Correct. Yeah.
And then he dies.
Yeah.
He gets to go to the barley fields with his wife and son. And that's the end of Gladiator.
Very good.
Lots of setup and then just rush to the end. That's
Yeah,
how I
yeah.
like to do it.
Yep.
Lots of foreplay, quick finish.
Yeah.
David, it's time for Gladiator trivia.
Okay. Yes.
I have a little callback to our Joker 2019 episode.
Oh, good. So bring up that we did that again. Yep.
It's hard not to when Joaquin Phoenix is in both.
Oh, I know.
It's one piece of Joaquin Phoenix improv that I have made note of.
Mm-hmm.
When he screams, "Am I not merciful?" at Connie Nielsen, who plays Lucilla.
Right. Yeah.
Remember that bit?
Yeah.
That was one of Joaquin Phoenix's famous improvs.
All right. Okay. Well, it sort of suited the scene quite nicely, and
Frightened the fellow actor.
yeah. I would say that under that circumstance, for Gladiator, for who he was playing and what he was doing there, probably fit moderately well.
I'd say if it was a different actor, I wouldn't think anything of it, but the fact that it's Mr. Climbing at the Fridge makes me second guess. I have other improvised stuff to get into because there's quite a bit in the film, but
okay.
We'll move on for now. No, we won't. Because it's here. It's the next position.
Yep.
Maximus describing his home to Mark Aurelius.
Yeah.
Especially his kitchen was improvised. Russell Crowe is describing his real home in Australia.
Nice. That's cool.
There's big fucking spiders everywhere. A couple of kangas in the back.
Good.
Russell Crowe's horse became startled during the opening battle and backed into some tree branches. As a result, the wounds on his face after this sequence are real.
Oh. Cool.
You even see his stitches when he tells Commodus that he intends to go home.
All right.
That like intense close up.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Russell
must have been pretty deep. Sorry, it must have been kind of deep.
I mean, it's the one across his nose and the one in his cheek.
Right, those. Right, yeah.
Quite so. I'm glad that happened because having him not have any wounds would have been
weird.
Yeah.
And again, maybe they just felt like with the wounds that he had, they didn't have to put any
True.
more on him or whatever. But it still added to a bit of depth to the movie and the scene and everything. So yeah, it looked great.
Right.
Getting smacked upside the face with a tree by his horse.
Like he was filming The Evil Dead or something.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe won the Best Actor Oscar for this film. He has said that he felt unworthy of all the praise and the award, as he felt Gladiator was a director's film and the Oscar should have gone to Ridley Scott instead.
Okay. I can see both with that, but I think that might also be a lot of the fact that him and Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe worked very, very closely together with this, I believe.
Well, they're quite close friends. Obviously, they also did Robin Hood and American Gangster.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure they worked very, very closely with this particular film as well because of the fact that it was like both of their idea to make the film in the first place, was it not?
No.
Was it not theirs?
No. Well, I'll have more trivia about who started it and who came on board and such.
Okay.
It kind of is and kind of isn't with that.
Fair enough.
Connie Nielsen found one of the rings that she wears in the film in an antique store. It was over 2,000 years old.
Nice.
She was also frequently consulted over the film's historical accuracy, as she has a huge interest in this period of time.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
Alright, David, it's time for big Oliver Reed trivia.
Okay.
It's time
I'm ready.
Get deep in the reeds with Oliver Reed. Oliver Reed died 3 weeks before principal photography ended because Proximo, the character that he plays, was considered a key character. A clause in the movie's insurance contract would have allowed the filmmakers to reshoot all of Reed's scenes with another actor at the insurer's expense. About $25 million.
Fucking hell.
However, most of the actors and crew were exhausted from the punishing schedule, and Ridley Scott did not want to cut Reed from the film. The script was rewritten, and a body double and CGI were used to give character a plausible resolution.
Right, yeah.
It's not as clear cut as like they did a CGI recreation of his face. Usually it's taking existing footage and changing movement slightly.
Yeah.
Or the lighting.
Yeah, to fit the mood of there, because he did a lot of bright desert scenes, but then those last end scenes are quite dark because it's nighttime in Rome. I think the only scene where it's really noticeable is the last shot before he dies. It's very obviously the scene where he's looking up the stairs at Maximus. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
What can you do?
Hey, I like that he stayed in. I like that he got kept in the movie.
Which is funny because Ridley Scott did a different movie where one of the actors, Kevin Spacey, was outed as being a paedophile. And so he reshot all of Kevin Spacey's scenes so he wouldn't be in the film. He recast him with Christopher Plummer.
Right.
I can't remember the film, but oh well.
Yeah, well.
Speaking of Proximo, though.
Yeah.
Originally, Maximus was going to fight Proximo in the Colosseum after being captured.
Alright.
Because obviously they keep mentioning that Proximo, or they mentioned that Proximo was a gladiator.
Yeah.
The idea is that he would have to fight Russell Crowe.
Yeah. That would have been presumably where they brought back the other guy out of retirement. And instead of bringing back that guy out, that other gladiator out of retirement, they would have brought out Proximo. I
think it would have been like after he's captured, because it would have been they shot the film in chronological order,
right? Okay,
which is a different point of trivia, but so that's why you have all these scenes we all read, and then the scene where he dies is the only scene that isn't how it would have been. They're talking that it was going to be that Russell Crowe has to fight Oliver Reed instead of the fight with Commodus.
Oh, okay. Wow, that really changed the film.
Aye.
Wow, okay.
I don't know if maybe it would have been in addition to the fight with Commodus. But it sounds like it would have been
like an alternative.
Which is, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
We're still in the Reeds, by the way.
That's fine.
Russell Crowe or Reed? How do you think they got on?
Quite well.
They hated each other.
Oh, of course.
I'm cheating history just so you're wrong.
Yeah.
Reed apparently challenged Crowe to fight him during filming.
Alright, fucking hell.
Russell Crowe has been quoted. I have a big quote about Oliver Reed from Russell Crowe here. I'm not going to do the voice.
That's fine.
I never got on with Ollie. He has visited me in dreams and asked me to talk kindly of him. So I should, but we never had a pleasant conversation. I've seen him walk down the street in Malta drunk as a lord and just hit anybody he got near to, even a man walking with his children. I just found that to be not impressive. He drank himself to death. He sat in a bar stool until he fell off it and carried on drinking. Lying in his own piss and vomit, he continued to drink until he passed out. What did the tabloids say he drank on the day he died? Something like 30 beers, 8 or 10 dark rums, and half a bottle of whiskey.
Fucking hell.
In the end, he created such a weird energy around him that no one drinking with him.
Wow. And that's Russell Crowe trying to be nice.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few interviews with Russell Crowe, and he's not really the kind of guy to go off bad-mouthing co-stars or anything like that.
No, not really.
So to say that about
anyone, that
someone who's passed as well, someone who's passed as well, that's quite something.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Right.
Okay.
However, Russell Crowe did become very good friends with Richard Harris.
Nice.
Who played Marcus Aurelius.
Yes.
Harris would pass away just 2 years after the film's release.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
We're out of the reads for now, but I think I do have more reads to go through.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'll just find the other.
Yeah, it's fine.
Michael Winner had to persuade Oliver Reed to audition for the film. While working on their last collaboration, Parting Shots in 1998, Reed complained, "I can't believe it. Ridley Scott wants me to go and read for him, but I'm a star." Winner replied, "Oliver, don't fuck with me. You're not a fucking star. You're out of work and you're not old enough to retire, so you need a third act to your career. Obviously they think if you're working with me, you can't be as drunk as people think you are. So go to Ridley and read End of Story, Oliver. And if he wants you to read twice, read twice."
Fucking hell.
My last bit of the reads.
Yep.
Is that Oliver Reed refused to work after 5 p.m. on this film.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's presumably when he went off to the pub.
I like the fact that the bit that they kept him in was an at-night scene.
Aye.
Where everyone else in the crew would have been after 5 p.m. And they were like, maybe that's why Ridley Scott kept them in the film instead of redoing it. Maybe he kept them in the film because he was like, actually, I'm going to stick it to him a little bit by, I'm going to honour that he was in the film by keeping him in the film.
Apparently, he got on quite well with Ridley Scott.
He probably did.
Aye.
He probably did. I think it was just mostly Russell Crowe that he was had issues with, or had issues with.
The only person that he has scenes with, really.
Yeah.
Aside from the guy from The Mummy, Oded Fair, Jalili, Omar Jalili.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Here's some historical facts for you, David.
Okay.
Bear in mind, I'm talking about the real Commodus here, not Joaquin Phoenix.
Correct. Yep.
Although Commodus was initially favoured by the Roman people, he lost that status through dramatic acts of megalomania.
Mm-hmm.
He is often considered the initiator of the fall of Rome. During his reign, he incorporated his name into many common terms, such as the terms for money and the people.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, the citizens and the Senate had enough of his rule. He was poisoned, and when he vomited out the poison, he was strangled.
He was strangled by his gladiator trainer.
Yeah, that's true.
While he was in a bathtub.
Yep. Afterwards, the Senate returned the language to what it had been before Commodus, and the many statues of himself put up were taken down.
Yes.
He did that to Nero as well.
Yeah.
It's a common thing where you take, I can't remember the term for it, but you take the statues down and you cut the heads off, destroy the heads.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to wipe them from history almost.
Yeah, aye. At the very least, to try and wipe them from recent memory.
Yeah.
I have a little bit about that one. There are 2 points that made him very unpopular.
All right.
With the people. People in power as well as the general people. And those were that he almost completely and utterly bankrupted Rome.
Commodus?
Yes. By annually, for his entire reign, almost, I think it works out there was a year or whatever, it didn't, but almost completely throughout his reign had gladiator games because he was obsessed with being a gladiator.
I had trivia. I had a little note about that.
Oh, right, okay.
That was originally going to be included in the film.
Right, nice.
I don't think it was money, it was, they changed it, I think, to like grain or something.
Mm-hmm.
They've been shipping out all the grain, and basically it was if Commodus hadn't been killed, within 2 years everyone in Rome would have starved.
Yeah.
Because there would be no food left.
Yeah, they were just desolate at that point.
Yeah.
And the other thing that made him very unpopular in general, because he was just a horrible person, and a lot of people saw that,
was the fact that he starred in the movie Joker 2019.
Well, that's a third fact then.
Oh, right, yeah.
But the other one that I had there was the fact that Commodus, like I said, was obsessed with being a gladiator.
Mm-hmm.
Except he wouldn't fight gladiators. He would fight, we're quoting that in quotations here because it wasn't really a fight, disabled people, women, and anyone with basically any physical or mental impairments, other forms of disability basically.
Yeah.
Where he would take a lot of pleasure in killing them incredibly slowly.
Yeah. There's a lot of throwaway line in this film where they mention when they're looking for gladiators just to die.
Mm-hmm.
And Oliver Reed's character says, well, go get like thieves and beggars.
Beggars and stuff, yeah.
And they go, well, we've ran through all the beggars.
We've already done that.
All the beggars and all the thieves in Rome are dead.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
5 Real Tigers, David.
Mm-hmm.
That's the name of my band. my techno punk band.
Good.
5 real tigers were used in the scene where Maximus fights Tigris the Gaul in the arena.
Right, nice. I like the fact that he's actually the Gaul. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
his official name.
Yep.
I don't think I have this written in this trivia, but they actually used a mixture of real tigers that were in the scenes with the actors. Mm-hmm. Those tigers shot separately that were then comped in after the fact. Mm-hmm. That's most of it, really.
Yeah.
And then there were animatronic tigers as well. Whenever you see like Russell Crowe's got a tiger on him, that's an animatronic.
Yeah, I clocked that it was an animatronic when he was, because he had the one that launched on him and jumped on him and he stabbed it. Yeah.
Oh, we did watch the film in 4K ultra high definition Blu-ray.
We did. Yeah, it's still convincing enough.
Oh yeah.
I didn't look at it and go, oh fucking hell, that's an animatronic. I went, oh, that's an animatronic.
I knew it was an animatronic and I couldn't quite spot it. A few of the comps are a bit more obvious.
Yeah, some of the comps are quite obvious, but
I think it's also in your brain. You're like, well, there's not. That tiger might be real, but they're not letting it get within 2 feet of Russell Crowe.
Yeah, they're not letting it swipe like
the back of his
back of his neck or whatever.
Climb onto him and bite him.
Yeah, exactly.
The opening battle scene was filmed in Bournemouth, Surrey, England. The Royal Forestry Commission had originally slated the area for deforestation. So Sir Ridley Scott eagerly offered them his facilities to burn the woods to the ground, and the commission happily accepted. You're a forestry man, David.
Yeah.
Kind of. What are your thoughts on all of
that? Well, they probably eagerly accepted because they got paid to get rid of the forest as opposed to paying to get rid of the forest.
Well, they're getting rid of the forest in general.
The deforestation of all kinds I heartily disagree with. I am very much against deforestation.
Yeah.
Forest management is the way to go. Silviculture is what it's called. Forest management and looking after a forest. Cultivating it as opposed to destroying
it out.
Yeah. And it's still fucked all over this country. I don't know if anyone listening to this podcast has any idea about
break it foresting. To you, no one is listening to this podcast. Good. You're okay.
Well, that's fine. Well, I'll explain it then, very briefly. Mm-hmm. And that is that all over the UK, there's basically, other than national parks, there's pretty much one kind of forestry that's really being like mass done here, and that is small scale clear cutting or clear felling, which is where they just take a couple of acres of forest and go, that's coming down this year, the section next to it will be coming down next year or the year after or whatever,
right? And
then this bit over here, that'll be when that matures and gets to 25 plus years or 30 plus years depending on the actual forest. They'll be like, right, we're clear felling that one instead. So yeah, they instead of doing mass deforestation, they do it in little patches, as if that makes it any better. It still looks shit. It still is really not good for the environment. The one thing that they do when they clear cut those sections that is actually kind of good for the environment and some of the creatures in it is they leave any of the dead standing poles of trees. They leave those because it's not worth any financial value to them anyway.
What's even worse though, right, when they're just in the clear cutting, is that you can't film an action scene for the movie Gladiator if you're clear cutting.
Exactly, yeah. yeah, you cannot. So you would have to do, well, they were looking to obviously clear cut that anyway, so it was like, burn it, get it out of the way, it doesn't matter. Because they wouldn't have been clear cutting that for forestry purposes, they would have been clear cutting that for housing, most likely.
Yeah, probably.
Which is why they wouldn't have been bothered about all the trees getting burnt, because they weren't doing it for the profit.
Maybe there's a McDonald's there now.
Probably, or a car park, or a bunch of fucking houses.
Doss house.
Yeah.
It's a common misconception that a Roman emperor puts his thumb upwards to signify that a gladiator was to be spared, whereas thumbs down meant that there should be no mercy for a downed gladiator. In reality, this gesturing was the other way around, A thumb up symbolised a sword action, meaning death, and a thumb down, a sheathed sword, which was mercy.
Yep.
The crew of the film, the people who made the film, were aware of this while making the movie, but said that since the thumbs up is considered a good sign nowadays, they decided it was unnecessary to confuse the audience.
Correct.
I agree.
I agree with that decision as well. I also remember in high school doing studying the Roman period and stuff, and Gladiator got brought up at that point, and that tidbit of information got told to me, and I never actually have forgotten that part. And similarly, my history teacher then also agreed with that general consensus of, albeit it is not factually correct, it does make for easier watching.
Well, otherwise you have to have a scene where you hear a character go, thumbs up, that means that's a sword out.
Yeah. Oh, it's a sword out, it's a sword out. And some other people like that, oh, he's going to die.
Thumbs down, that means he's sheathed the sword, that means he gets spared. Fucking useless.
Yeah. It also doesn't make all that much sense. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, but it doesn't all that make that much sense anyway when it comes to the gladiators, because very few gladiators actually use swords.
Yeah.
A huge host of them use
tigers.
Clubs, tigers apparently, yes. Clubs, spears, those sort of quad fork trident that you see earlier in the film.
I'll tell you what they don't use, David. They didn't use flails because those didn't exist for another 1,500 years or so. Oh, that was going to say, technically, there's a lot of things in the film that are inaccurate, but it improves the film. The Colosseum is accurate in its details. It's fucking massive.
Yeah.
Like it's 10 times bigger than the real Colosseum is, because Ridley Scott visited the real Colosseum.
Yeah.
And stood in it to get ready for the film and was like,
this ain't big enough.
I didn't write down the quote, but I think what he said was something like, it should represent the idea of the Colosseum that the Roman people would have had in their minds.
Right.
Or the impression it would have had on them. Rather than the reality of what it looks like.
Yeah.
And another quick point. I would love for us to be able to cover Gladiator 2, but time is short and I am dying. So I'm an old fool of a man. Maximus, whatever the fuck.
You are Marcus, speaking to Maximus.
I am Marcus?
Yes.
Dementia. Me? But in Gladiator 2, from what I've seen in the trailers, look, there's a bit where to do a water battle recreation, flood the Colosseum full of water and have ships in it. Now, we have a lot of evidence from the time where people are like, yeah, they did that. But it's impossible. It is not a real thing that could have happened. Yeah. Maybe they had some water in. Maybe those traps that the tigers were in were filled with water, and you had like one person on a little boat or firing arrows at someone else. Maybe there was some sort of something. But filling the entire battle arena up with water and putting ships in it is a nonsense fantasy.
Yeah.
But it's in Gladiator 2, but fair enough.
Yeah. Fair enough. I guess. I think you're right enough in the fact that I think that's probably a contested point of view, depending on which historian you ask.
There's no historian who's like, yeah, they put full-size ships in the Colosseum and fought battles.
Yeah, no, there will be no full-size ships in there. No. Correct.
Even getting the water in it is like...
retaining the water is the problem.
Even getting the water in it, like the sand floor. Bear in mind, this is. Oh, let's not fucking go in. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix.
I've never said his name right since.
Fuck him.
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix was incredibly nervous on set. He asked Russell Crowe to rough him up before their big scene together to psych Phoenix up. Crowe has said he was at a loss and went to Richard Harris for advice, saying, "Mate, I can't do the voice anymore. I'm too excited about this trivia. Saying, mate, what are we going to do with this kid? He's asking me to abuse him before takes. Harris replied, let's get him pissed. Over the course of several hours and several pints of Guinness, Crowe and Harris relaxed their co-star.
Right. It's for the best because
that's that Joker.
Beat me up before fucking
like grab me and throw me around before every take.
Fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, mate.
I have more Joaquin Phoenix news.
Or
not news because it's a 25-year-old film.
Yeah.
While looking at the dailies, Ridley Scott noticed that Joaquin Phoenix was gaining weight.
Yep.
Scott spoke to the line producer about it, who then went to Phoenix and said to him, Ridley says you're fat. The next day, Joaquin, in full armour, came to Scott and said, I hear I look like a little fat hamster. I thought it was the right thing to do. I'm the Emperor of Rome. Why would I not look a little more debauched? At which point Joaquin didn't eat for apparently 2 weeks.
Alright.
Aye, that's about the reaction that you'd expect.
Yeah.
William Nichols, who wrote the film, had only just returned home from set when he got the call that Oliver Reed had died. I guess we're back in the Reeds.
Yep.
And he'd have to come back and do the rewrites. Here's another bit of writer William Nichols trivia for you. Russell Crowe hated the film's famous line, my name is Maximus Decimus Aurelius, etc. and so forth. And reportedly told Nichols his script was, quote, shit, before adding, but I'm the greatest actor in the world and I can make even shit sound good.
Well, you know what?
It was fucking right.
He was. Because he got the fucking Oscar for Best Actor.
Yeah.
With a script he thought was shit. And a line that he really hated that stayed in the movie. Apparently he would often like improvise stuff on set or like rewrite his own lines because he was like, fuck this is awful. And the only reason he didn't with that is that he couldn't think of anything. He was just like, fair. Whatever. Yeah. I can't think of anything better, so I guess this'll do. When it is that scene and he turns away and he's walking away from the Emperor Commodus, and you know it's gearing up to that.
Yeah, you
know it's coming, and he sort of does a little before he takes his helmet off.
What you mean?
And I was thinking, that's a weird one to do that. Like, I guess you're resigned to say, like,
you're revealing your identity.
To reveal my identity. I'm going to have to because I see no way out of this situation. But at the same time, now that you know this bit of information, you go, because Russell Crowe couldn't think of anything else to say on the fly.
Fuck, I'm going to have to say this line.
Have to go with this line.
This is unrelated, really, but you know how he has to take the helmet off to reveal his identity? Every time I watch Gladiator, twice, both times when I've watched it, I've thought to myself, isn't this the bit where his helmet gets damaged and he can't take it off, and so he manages to avoid revealing his identity? Which is a plot point in the movie A Knight's Tale starring Heath Ledger.
It is, yeah.
I conflate them so much in my mind because they're so similar. A Knight's Tale's more.
Yeah, it is.
It's lower budget though. Those crowds are not.
Oh, those crowds are not. And they also start singing Queen songs in the crowd.
So they do.
Yeah. Playing We Will Rock You.
Speaking of crowds.
With trumpets. Sorry.
Speaking of crowds. The crowd scenes in the Colosseum used a lot of real life extras, some digital extras, and 400 cardboard cutouts of spectators.
Hey, if it works.
Just goes to show the scale of that thing.
Yep.
That set. This is unrelated. It's a different movie.
Let's go for it.
Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace. For the very wide panning shots of the pod race, the characters, that's a practical miniature. It's not a CGI model.
Yeah.
the little miniatures, the little people, those aren't CGI either. They're little, differently coloured bits of fabric wrapped around sticks with a fan underneath, giving the illusion that they're moving.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I like a lot of the alternative, out the box thinking that came through things like Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where, like the original trilogy, you've got a lot of the really, really detailed matte paintings and things like that to build sets. Obviously, much cheaper than if you were to build the set, or especially in that time, CGI the set.
Aye, which isn't possible, really.
Yeah, exactly. You would have. Wouldn't have looked good in the slightest.
Well, we'll talk about that a bit more, the kind of ingenuity of filmmaking, especially in our next episode when we'll come back to cover 1939's The Wizard of Oz.
Correct.
Maximus's tattoo, SPQR, stands for Senatus Populus Romanus, which translates to the Senate and the Roman people. This was one of the main slogans of Rome throughout its history and can still be seen in modern times on manhole covers.
Yep.
No discussion.
None.
At one point in the film's production, gladiators were going to be shown doing product endorsements like modern day athletes.
Okay.
Before you screw up your face, David,
I know what happened.
This is historically accurate.
Yeah.
But it was decided it would be too silly to include. However, it is included in the 1997 historical epic, Disney's Hercules.
It is, yes. It is indeed. Yes, I know that they did actually do that. But yeah, I also agree in the decision to keep that out of the film.
Aye. Doesn't really fit.
Yeah.
Still a lot of trivia to go.
Good.
The shot of Maximus's hand brushing past Wheat is actually Stuart Clark's hand, who is Russell Crowe's stunt double.
Right. Nice.
More than 10,000 costumes were created for the film.
I could see that, yeah.
David, it's time for Oh Ouch!
Okay.
Russell Crowe lost all feeling in his right forefinger for 2 years after a sword fight.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, he also aggravated his Achilles tendon, broke a foot bone, cracked a hip, and popped a few bicep tendons out of their sockets.
Jesus. Well, that's quite a lot of injuries.
Yeah, he really fucked himself up. For this one.
Yeah. That's, yeah. That's a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I mean, he fights for the entire movie.
Yeah, that's true.
It's 2.5 hours of Russell Crowe fighting.
True. It is indeed. Or riding a horse or something as well, which is obviously fairly strenuous.
Those trees and ripped his face off.
Yeah.
According to Ridley Scott, scenes where Maximus picks up a piece of dirt or ground or whatever, sand, and kind of smells it and rubs it into his hand, signifies mortality and the possibility that he could die there and return to the soil or earth he occupies at that moment.
Oh, fair enough.
If you ever wondered why I was doing that.
I did not know specifically why, but I just assumed it was some sort of, like, that's just his thing, because it's only him doing it.
I thought it was a thing of helps him grip his sword better. You know, gymnasts will put, like, dust on their chalk on their hands. Yeah.
I figured that, especially with, like, the Gladiator arena, you've got the sand. It's going to dry out the sweat and stuff on your hand.
Yeah.
That would be quite a good one to wick away the sweat and things.
Part of the movie's main theme was reused for the Pirates of the Caribbean score.
I think I heard this somewhere. Possibly you told me.
I didn't know until I wrote this trivia last night.
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough. Well, then, no, it wasn't you that told me.
I noticed when we were watching the film, and it was very irritating.
Yeah.
According to Russell Crowe, the initial draft was so bad that when he was approached for the lead role, not even the producer wanted to send him a copy, afraid that he wouldn't respond to it. Crowe was instead urged to meet with director Ridley Scott instead.
Mm-hmm.
Unbeknownst to the producers, Crowe had already obtained a copy of the script from Michael Mann, director of Heat, because at the time Russell Crowe was working on, is it Inside Man? Insider? It was some sort of film like that. And Russell Crowe did not like the script, but was won over by Ridley Scott's take on the project, as well as the promise of countless rewrites.
Nice.
And then all the improvisation and shit as well.
Yeah.
Alright, David, we're near the end.
Mm-hmm.
Giannino Facchio, who plays Maximus's wife, married director Ridley Scott in 2015.
Alright. That's cool.
Yeah. Hans Zimmer, who did the score for the film, originally wanted Ofra Haza to provide the background vocals to the score, having worked successfully with her on The Prince of Egypt.
Nice.
However, she passed away due to age-related pneumonia.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I really love the music to do with The Prince of Egypt. That's
so do
fucking awesome.
I haven't seen that film in years.
Yeah.
God.
I frequently forget it exists, but every time I see it, I'm like, I need to watch this.
And I'm the same, but I never do. You know Pavarotti?
Yeah.
He was offered a bit in this film, like doing music in the film.
Yeah.
And he turned it down. He was like, nah, I'm not interested. And he has since said that he massively regrets it.
I would imagine so, yeah.
Okay, David, final piece of trivia.
Okay.
Maximus's pet wolf at the beginning of the film is played by Kate, a female Tervuren Belgian Shepherd. Do you recognise this dog, David?
Do I recognise the dog? Now that you say that, I feel like I have something niggling in my head saying I should recognise that dog.
Kate also appeared in the British soap opera EastEnders for 7 years as male Tervuren named Wellard.
Right.
Remember Wellard the dog in EastEnders?
Yeah, I do. Whoa. Same dog.
Same dog in Gladiator.
Nice. That's quite the difference.
Yeah, aye.
Yeah.
That's the end of Gladi trivia.
Some really good trivia there.
Oh, thank you. Sir Ridley Scott, who directed the film. This is more trivia, by the way. I tricked you. And I have more trivia.
Fuck my wife.
Fuck my wife if you're Maximus.
Oh, apparently so.
Ridley Scott resisted any suggestion that Maximus and Lucilla should have a sexual relationship. He said it would decrease his need to be with his murdered wife and son. Russell Crowe was also against it, saying it wasn't in character.
That's fair enough. I can see that.
The real-life Commodus, you had a bit to say about this, David, was the only Roman emperor in history to fight as a gladiator in the arena. He did it several times and not just once. And he was not killed in the arena, but strangled in the bath by an athlete named Narcissus.
Who was his gladiator trainer.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I pointed out before, realistically, he only fought the mentally handicapped, the physically handicapped, or woman.
Yes. Among the changes necessitated by the death of Oliver Reed was the final scene, as Proximo was supposed to be the one to bury the figures in the sand in the Colosseum. The scene was rewritten to have Juba bury them and reference his earlier line about how Maximus would meet his family again.
Yeah.
I think that works better.
I think it does work better.
Proximo's a dickhead.
How would it have worked anyway if Proximo was the final fight?
I guess he would have won.
I guess he would have killed him.
Or no, maybe it wasn't the final fight. I think it was a fight.
Or one of the fights. Then he couldn't have killed him.
Maybe
Maximus was supposed to let him live.
Have you seen John Wick 4?
Maybe they all kind of blur into
That's
one.
the most recent John Wick.
Probably.
At the bit at the end where Bill Skarsgård is like, John Wick's injured in this pistol duel. And Bill Skarsgård is like, well, no, I'll step in and I'll take the final shot. And that's how he dies. Maybe it was that. Maybe Proximo fucks up Maximus. Which is a little unbelievable that Oliver Reed could win in a fight against Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
And then Joker Quinn Phoenix is man. I'll step in and I'll take the final blow.
Maybe
Joker Quinn Phoenix lived.
I'm glad it went the way it went. not that Oliver Reed died, obviously, not that part, but, the rest.
According to IMDb trivia, when the real Commodus fought in the arena, unbeknownst to him, soldiers preparing the Gladiator to fight would stab the opponent in the back to weaken him.
I thoroughly doubt that was unbeknownst to him.
Unbeknownst to him. Word for word. Take it up with IMDb.
I will.
The scene where Maximus finds his family's corpse is originally called for your traditional kind of discreet one tear running down the cheek kind of thing.
Yeah.
And Russell Crowe and Ridley Scott decided that it required, as Crowe put it, a full-blown snotfest.
And it was. It really was.
Imagine if you looked at his hanging from his corpses and was like...
Yeah, that's a shame.
Next
one.
Win some, lose some.
Yeah, that would be pretty shit.
The original script didn't have Maximus having a family who died.
Okay. So what was the point of the whole thing?
I think it was probably getting revenge for killing Richard Harris.
Oh, right, yeah, well, that would be about it.
The real Marcus Aurelius died from the plague.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, Commodus strangles him, obviously. David, I have more Joaquin Phoenix for you.
Oh, here we go.
He got so involved in the scene in which Commodus murdered his father that he actually fainted.
What?
Yeah, he fainted in that scene where he killed Richard Harris.
Fucking fainted?
Yeah.
What the fuck? The more and more I'm hearing about this Joaquin Phoenix prick, I'm thinking he's a bit of a fucking weirdo.
You didn't get that from when he climbed in that fridge?
I got he was being weird.
Yeah.
And he was trying to act crazy and shit, but he's supposed to act like a moderately close to sane-ish.
Yeah, I don't know why he's playing this as... I mean, he was egocentrical.
Yeah.
Commodus, but it wasn't the Joker.
Yeah, he also didn't want to fuck his sister in real life.
Well, Joaquin Phoenix saw to that.
Clearly.
This is something I thought was quite interesting, all right? Ridley Scott said that he included the scene of Maximus seeing Commodus practice sword fighting in the beginning of the film so that the audience would know that Commodus is capable when it comes to duels.
Mm-hmm.
I always read that scene as that he's not capable when it comes to duels because he's got these 5 guys around him standing still. Yeah. It's a show to make him feel like he's good at fighting, but it's...
Yeah, it's to run through training drills and predetermined swing.
Yeah, it's like it's Steven Seagal thinking that he's the world's best martial artist.
Yeah, I know.
According to Ridley Scott, the secret dagger that Commodus draws that Maximus kills him with is the same dagger that Commodus stabbed Maximus with, meaning they both die to the same blade.
I actually noticed that. He pulls out the dagger to stab him before the fight.
Yes.
And then he puts it away again in the same spot that he actually draws it in the fight.
Tigers are normally difficult to train, but remarkably the production found that several days into filming with them, the tigers got used to being in the midst of a film crew and weren't bothered by all the activity going on around them.
Right.
The biggest challenge then was goading them into action when it came time to perform.
All right, because they were fucking just lying there lazy.
Roll around. The original script featured Maximus being called Narcissus, Commodus being strangled in the baths.
Mm-hmm.
The fight at the Colosseum was against rhinoceros instead of tigers, and Lucilla died before the end of the film, being executed as she was in real life, along with some senators inside a Sicilian bull.
Lovely. A Sicilian bull is not a fun way to go.
No, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Who has a cameo in this movie, David?
I don't know who.
Brian Blessed.
Really?
Blessed plays a Colosseum spectator during the games. Let's talk other Gladiator movies.
Okay, let's.
Originally, a prequel was planned.
Oh.
This was then changed into a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Now, David, I don't have this written down, so I'm going to have to go off the cuff.
Okay.
The original plan for this sequel was that Russell Crowe commissioned it.
Mm-hmm.
And he had the script written by Nick Cave.
Okay.
Of the band Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay.
And he wrote a story in which Maximus is in the afterlife.
All right. Yep.
And he's going around in the afterlife and eventually has to come out of the afterlife to go back in time to kill Jesus. At which point he becomes an immortal figure who exists throughout time in a Forrest Gump-like situation. And the film culminates with him working for the US government.
What? Did you take LSD before you said that?
Oh, I wish. No, that is in fact a true story.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Right.
It's been deemed unfilmable.
Yeah.
And obviously wasn't made.
Good.
And instead, Gladiator 2 is going to be about Joaquin Phoenix's nephew.
Aye, that's the one.
That little boy.
Yeah.
There you go, David.
Definitely a better sequel.
You don't like the idea of him killing Jesus?
I don't like the idea of him meandering around the afterlife for a while and then I don't like the idea of any of it. I'm not gonna lie, none of it.
Would you like to know Russell Crowe's reaction to the Nick Cave Gladiator 2 script?
Sure.
He said, "I don't like it, mate."
Oh, good.
The film that it's been likened to is X-Men Origins Wolverine. To be fair, when Nick Cave asked Russell Crowe about writing Gladiator 2, he said, "Didn't you die in Gladiator 1? And Russell Crowe responded, "Yeah, you sort that out." So there you go. There's a little glimpse into what was almost Nick Cave's Gladiator 2. Let me ask you this, David.
Uh-huh.
Were you not entertained?
I was entertained, yes, Connor. I very much liked Gladiator. It was a very good film. I think the way it came together was quite interesting, how it ended up being such a good film, and there were so many ways, as you said, in the
trivia section, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Gladi trivia or whatever I call it.
Gladi trivia.
Triviator was saving that for when we cover Terminator.
Yeah.
Or Termi trivia. When we cover termites. The termites that are eating my wooden brain.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I really observed this time when I was watching this film was the acting prowess of one Rusty Crowe.
Right.
Now, I'd seen Russell Crowe in a couple other films, namely 2017's The Mummy, in which he played Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him in American Gangster, and a couple other films. You know, he's seen a couple of things.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't want this to sound negative or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I never really rated him that much as an actor. Not that I thought he was bad, but I just didn't really. Well, it's just one of those guys, you know, one of those people in Hollywood that's just there. One of those male actors who's, you know, that does these kind of films. Mm-hmm. He's alright. He does a lot of shouting. Aye. And that's it. Yeah. And then watching this film, and he's like fucking incredible. Yeah. Like he's amazing. I'd seen him in Robin Hood as well, which I hate. Yeah, I didn't like Robin Hood. Well, I don't like that Robin Hood. Yeah, I like the one with Alan Rickman. Yeah, yeah. But I despise. I know you like the Disney one. Yeah, because you want to fuck that fox. But that's got nothing to do with anything. But it's not a lie. It's got nothing to do with anything. I like the animated Robin Hood because I think it's funny, and I watched it a lot as a child, and the songs are good and catchy. Mm-hmm. Done. I've never seen it. Have you? Oh, fuck my life. Yeah. Well, the point I was getting at, David, before you brought up your fox fetish. I believe you brought up my fox fetish. The point I was getting at was that Russell Crowe is incredible in this film. Yeah. The little subtle moments in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Just something as simple as the opening scene where he sort of follows the bird up. Apparently this was Russell Crowe's idea. The bird thing.
Right, yeah.
I think I maybe mentioned that in trivia.
I think you did, yeah.
I can't remember. You know, the way that you see him follow the bird up,
mm-hmm.
and you sort of get a sense of the emotion that he's feeling just from the way that his eyes... Just from his eyes, David, you see.
Yeah.
And then he leads back down to the battlefield and it changes again. And the scene later on where Joaquin Phoenix is is bad-mouthing his family.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see in his brain that he's like, I want to massacre this little prick. I want to rip this guy apart. And then
I doubt that was acting.
and then he kind of steadies himself and he calms down.
Yeah.
And it's all just conveyed in the look on the face. Just the
Yeah.
It really made me reevaluate Russell Crowe as an actor.
Yeah.
I really need to rewatch American Gangster. I think he's good in that film, but he's overshadowed by Denzel.
Yeah, that's fair. David,
any other performance, or do you want to talk about Russell Crowe for a bit?
Sure. Yeah. I think I had a slightly higher opinion of his acting than you did.
I didn't think lowly of him. I just didn't think of him.
Yeah, aye.
That's what else I'd seen him in.
What?
He was Jor-El in Man of Steel. That's probably the first film I ever saw him in, or the second one after Robin Hood.
Yeah. I had seen him in a few things over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of dotted about the place doing. I similarly didn't really think much of him at all, one way or the other. I wasn't too fussed. And then I think I was about 14 or something, with no idea what I was going to rent from Blockbuster, and asked one of the Blockbuster workers what they suggested.
Blockbuster?
Yeah.
Is that the Blockbuster at...
Yes. And the employee suggested Master and Commander with Russell Crowe.
Oh, that's the one with all the ships.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I'm aware. And yeah, I really loved it. It was a surprisingly sort of overshadowed film. I had mentioned it to a good number of people over the years, and everyone's like, yeah, I've kind of heard of it, but I've never actually seen it.
Mm.
Or yeah, that kind of thing. I'm just like, all right, yourself included.
Yeah,
fairly large movie buffs.
Yeah, I would definitely say
I'm
that
talking about
yeah.
here, and they've never seen it, and they're just like, right, okay, well, it's a really good movie.
I think I tend to put it in the same basket as Waterworld.
Right.
Where I'm like, big budget films
mm-hmm.
with leading actors who were big,
mm-hmm.
big names at the time.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe ego projects.
Maybe.
Where they're at the height of their power and this is the film they want to make.
Yeah.
But also a bit of a... And again, I haven't seen either of these. Or any of the other films that are in this metaphorical basket. But kind of dry films.
Yeah.
That are big budget. That didn't do very well at the box office, that are real dad films where they'll walk in and they'll stand, not sit down, stand.
Yeah.
Older men films, and then they'll wander away.
Yeah,
it's kind of coming in and out,
Yeah. The other thing, so I thought.
Yeah, let's talk about Gladiator.
Yeah. Well, Russell Crowe at the moment. So so I liked him in that, and I thought it was a really good film. And fast forward a good number of years, and Les Mis came out. Another
film that I haven't seen.
Yep.
It's in the basket.
Yep.
Waterworld.
Yeah. And yeah, I never thought for a single second that Russell Crowe singing was something that I would actually enjoy.
Really?
And he is really good.
I've always heard that he's bad. I've always heard he is in Les Mis what Pierce Brosnan is in Mamma Mia.
Now, I get why people might say that.
Right.
But the bit that I think about this is you've got to remember the fact that Russell Crowe has the voice that he has, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know it's not a singer's voice, right?
It's a gladiator's voice.
Exactly. Now, but it's not a singer's voice, and he does like a bang up job for someone who you never ever thought would be able to sing.
Yeah, aye.
So, and the other part of it as well that a lot of people probably aren't thinking too much about. They love to pull out their asshole when they're wanting to like big up Hugh Jackman or whoever else, right?
Yeah.
Which is fair. Props to everyone that was in Les Mis.
Anne Hathaway,
you know, everyone that was in Les Mis except Russell Crowe. Is the fact that this is all like on set singing.
Yeah.
Like there was multiple takes, obviously,
mm-hmm.
and some of them are cut together to fix problems, people dropping something in the bag, whatever.
Oh yeah.
A bad day, a cold set, for example. You know, kind of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is all the singing in Les Mis was done on the set, not in a studio, not with sound production going on, not with a bunch of shit going on there, not with auto-tune sitting on your voice.
Aye.
None of that pish. And that was the whole point. They wanted it like a bit more like that. Yeah, that was what the director's sort of vision was with it. They wanted actors and actresses that could actually manage that.
Didn't that guy do Cats?
I have no idea if he did Cats or not.
Yes. Oh my god.
Wow.
He did, get this, right?
Yeah.
The King's Speech.
Yep.
Les Mis.
Yep.
The Danish Girl.
Yeah.
And then Cats.
Wow, that's a massive downward spike from the high that he was on there.
I mean, I've heard mixed things about the Danish Girl.
Right, okay.
But Cats.
I've heard largely kind of good things about the Danish Girl, but I don't actually know anything about it. I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
But yeah, so I think no one really gives Russell, well, not no one, but you know, a lot of people who are saying, shit about Russell Crowe in Les Mis, they're not really giving him his props and his due. It's also not it's not like the song that he's the main sort of song that Russell Crowe sings is not really like a popular song for a lot of people as well, I think. Or not one of the ones that they're like, oh, this is one I love in general from any performance of Les Mis, I think. So yeah, I think a lot of that sort of ties into the whole Russell Crowe shit in it, but I think he did a bang up job. And anyway, basically, I like Russell Crowe as an actor. I think he's a good actor.
Very good.
Similarly to yourself, in Gladiator, I've always thought this is actually fucking amazing acting.
He's doing
star
a lot
of the show acting.
Also, another part that I love is the bit where he's about to die at the end, and then he kind of regains. He comes back to and tells Rome to become a republic again.
Gets a bit of clarity in the sort of fog of death that he's getting there.
In fact, his performance was so convincing that we had a conversation as that scene was unfolding where I was like, oh, this is the part where he comes back to. And you were like, no, that must be the director's cut because this guy's fucked. This guy's gone. You must be thinking of the director's cut.
He's in a fucking field, mate. He is miles from here.
Because he looks like he's about to just fall over and keel over and die.
Yeah.
And then
he did.
He comes to and he does that little bit. David, it's time for a new segment.
Oh, you and your segments.
Oh, this one's a good segment.
Okay, that's good.
This is Rigatoni Ranking.
You said a good segment there.
Well, the title is repurposed from our other cancelled podcast, Postulating on Pasta. I thought,
which is a better title than the segment.
Well, I thought, why let Rigatoni Ranking and all the merch we had made for it go to waste?
Exactly.
I'll bring it over here. This is going to be the segment in which we, in this episode, rank the 5 films that Movie House has covered so far.
Yep.
And every subsequent week, we will place what film we're talking about somewhere on the ranking.
Nice.
So this week it'll be 1 to 5, and then we'll just give... We'll give each following film a number. It'll fill in this gap. Fill in fill in the list.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. Are you wanting to kick us off with your number 5 then?
David, my number 5 spot is Joker.
Oh, funnily enough, it's also mine.
Well, fuck Joker. Yep. Bad movie.
Terrible. If there was less than 5, spoiler alert for a few episodes' time, this fucker's gonna be at the bottom.
I can't see Joker going anywhere.
I cannot see it going anywhere other than down in the numbers.
Joker, my number 4 spot is Alien vs Predator.
Okay, yeah. My number 4 spot is also Alien vs Predator.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's the CGI is a bit dated.
Well, you can listen to our episode. It's slightly below average in my opinion.
Yeah.
David, my number 3 spot is Terrifier.
My number 3 spot is also Terrifier.
Would you look at that?
Ah.
This might be where we differ.
Maybe.
David, my number 2 spot is the movie Gladiator.
This is where we differ. My number 2 spot is Beetlejuice.
Wow. Well,
I figured that. Yeah. Well, your number 1 is obviously
my number 1 spot. David, this may shock you. Ooh. Is the Joker from 2019. I'm double billing.
On reflex, there I almost hit you.
No, my number 1 spot is of course the movie Beetlejuice from 1988.
Yeah, and obviously mine is Gladiator.
Yeah. Wow.
I figured that you might actually have that, and that was, to be honest, when ranking these, my only pause for thought about where it should sit was whether or not Beetlejuice or Gladiator should be top.
That was pretty much my only pause as well.
Yeah, but
Big Fox pause from the Robin Hood movie.
That's the one. But yeah, I've got so Connor, I've got some notes that I had taken. Mostly in, I'm like in historical accuracy and
I see.
Kind of thing.
I also have some notes, David, but none of them refer to historical accuracy.
Okay, well we can go through our notes and reel off a few things.
What are we calling this segment?
Segmentless. No segments.
Okay.
You were like, segment list? That's a weird name for a segment.
We've just done a list.
Yeah,
a ranking list. Where we ranked.
So, one of the historical inaccuracies in the film was the intention of Marcus Aurelius to pass up Commodus as emperor.
That's the Richard Harris character passing up Joaquin Phoenix.
Yes.
Right.
To make Maximus the new head of the Senate, essentially, and the emperor to do so, right?
Yeah.
However, that was never going to happen. If Marcus Aurelius ever wanted to pass up on him, you would never keep him alive. You would never keep Commodus alive. You would have him killed. You don't just skip the person
and send them off to boarding school or something.
You kill them. So Commodus would have been long dead. The other sort of supporting information about that is the fact that before Marcus finished being emperor, he made Commodus co-emperor.
Right.
So they were both emperors simultaneously for a while.
Can I talk for a minute about Marcus?
Sure, yeah.
What a prick. I know he's like, Gladiator, I feel bad about. You fucked Rome. You spent your entire your entire career as Caesar, doing nothing but conquering, and now that you're at the end of your life and the end of your reign, you're like, oh, I really fucked this one up, Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. Can you take over and fix Rome for me? I know you're meant to go home to your family, but fix Rome for me instead. What an arse.
Well, he's less of an arse in person.
You mean in reality?
In reality.
In person.
Well, yeah. In reality.
Having dinner with him, are you?
Hi. Because he bangs on about, all that conquering that he's done for like 25 years. He's been conquering.
Yeah, aye.
Yeah. Marcus Aurelius, as emperor in history, didn't really do any conquering.
Oh, right.
He conquered possibly some places in parts of Germany. But that was kind of the only expansion that actually went on, and the war wasn't fully won when he died.
Yeah.
And fully passed over emperorship to Commodus, who then basically just didn't want to stay out in Germany. He wanted to go back to Rome and play games. So instead of finishing his father's war, he gave up and left.
Damn.
Yeah, just tossed in the towel, basically. So while I'm on Marcus, I'll batter home a bit the last point with that one, which was there was never any intention to reinstate the Roman Republic. Right. During Marcus's reign, ever. He was very much a dictatorship. It was very authoritarian and very much never ever considered restarting the Republic. Mm-hmm. That was just not him. Not something he would have ever done. So yeah, in the entire history of Rome, there was never ever even any talk of a general being named heir. Ever. That just doesn't happen. Yeah. The one and only sort of kind of related but almost similar ways that a general could have become emperor is by being the general of the Rhine Legion, which is technically what Maximus is. Maximus Decimus. He's supposed to be the leader or the general of the Rhine Legion, right? Which is the elite of the Roman Empire, and anyone who ever commanded that Rhine Legion could have become emperor because they had all the power, basically. Right. Which is why there was never a general of the Rhine Legion during Marcus's reign, because Marcus knew any general of the Rhine Legion could have forcefully taken control of the empire. So he generaled them himself to prevent that. So yeah, Maximus's role doesn't exist. That's what I'm saying. Marcus is that role. Commodus's sister did try to undermine Commodus. Oh, right. To get on the throne. But it wasn't to put her son on the throne, it was to put herself on the throne. Yeah. And it wasn't to save her son or any of that fish. It was just she had ambition to be the emperor.
Our son, who is the leader, who is the main character, the protagonist of Gladiator 2.
Correct.
I actually do have some historical accuracies written in my notes. I just looked through them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You want to crack on with a couple of those?
Statues, marble statues would not have been totally white as they are often depicted in this film. They would have had painted hair and stuff.
Yes.
And eyes and all sorts.
It's quite a large misconception about ancient Greece and ancient Rome.
Yeah.
Is that they were all white or like off-white.
The paints themselves were actually quite garish.
Yeah,
because they were just intensely bright single color paints with no
shading and all sorts of, unless natural light happened to do so.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was very like primary colors, which is why a lot of the time people decide not to include that in their movie, because we'd all be sitting there going, "Ooh, look at that shit."
Looked bad, but it would have been accurate.
Yeah.
They do a weird thing in this film where the armour and clothing sometimes has that paint, and the skin and hair is porcelain.
Mm-hmm.
It's like marble, white marble.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you just go the whole hog?
I don't know.
Or do none of it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There's a deleted scene in the film.
Okay.
Which establishes Commodus's grain issue.
Right,
that he's using... I don't know the ins and outs of this.
Okay.
He's using essentially the grain of Rome to pay for the gladiatorial battles that are always going on. And in 2 years, there will be no grain left, and Rome will starve. Yeah. And he's aware of this, and he doesn't give a fuck, because he wants to have the gladiatorial games going on constantly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is just another reason why his sister and Derek Jacobi and the other characters would want to get rid of Commodus and bring in a republic.
Yeah.
Another one of my notes. This guy wants to boink his sister. That's no good.
Yeah, that is. It's true in the film. It's all wacky over there.
Joaquin.
Aye, because that was not Commodus in history.
You know that guy with the big, wacky, crazy eyebrows?
Yes.
They're kind of poking out all over the place.
Yeah.
That's that actor's real eyebrows. I'm sure they did some teasing to it, but it's not like a wig or anything.
I have seen him in other things.
What's that thing you call a wig that's not on your head? It's like a munchkin or something.
I think so.
It's not a munchkin, it's something like it.
It's something similar to that, though.
American,
that's it.
It's not like American on his eyebrows.
Yeah.
Those are his real eyebrows.
Yeah, I've seen him in other things, actually, and yeah, that's how I know his eyebrows are definitely that.
I'm sure he was in an episode of Taggart or something, you know?
It was actually another movie, I just can't remember what it was.
Oh. The Colosseum is mostly very accurate.
Yeah.
They get all the little details, like the columns on the exterior are different for every level of the building, becoming more and more detailed.
Yeah.
However, this is much, much, much bigger than the real Colosseum. Ridley Scott actually visited the existing Colosseum.
Yeah.
And was like, "Oh, it's nice, but it needs to be much bigger for a film."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think you mentioned about the fact that he was going for more of the feel of the way the Colosseum would make them feel.
Yeah, I think I maybe touched on that in trivia.
Yeah.
Let's see what other. I have two more notes.
Mm-hmm.
The way Maximus catches that sword that gets thrown to him. You remember that?
Yeah.
He kind of catches it and then spins it around in his hand as he's catching it. That's just whoa.
Yeah.
Cool as anything, mate.
Yeah.
And my favourite line in the film is delivered by the late Oliver Reed.
Mm-hmm.
When Maximus discovers that he knew Marcus.
Yeah.
And he says, "I never said I knew him, I said he touched me on the shoulder once."
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a brilliant bit of comedy in an otherwise very serious film.
Yeah.
But I think, even if you're not interested in Roman history, right, there is something to be said for the incredible gladiatorial scenes in the film.
Oh yeah.
Just somebody getting a spindly sharp bit on the wheel of a wagon to their midsection and just getting ripped in half.
Yeah.
Cut in half like they've been hit by the laser in Resident Evil, the film. That
was actually that spindly sharp bit was actually specifically a sword designed
to
stick out.
Is?
Yeah. It is a sharpened implement.
I know what it is, because modern James Bond's car has it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's basically, originally they used to just attach, like, unhilted swords.
I think it would fuck you up, but it wouldn't. If it's spinning, it wouldn't. So it wouldn't cut you clean in half like it does to that woman. Because it would catch you and it would continue to curve and it would take a chunk out you.
Yeah.
It wouldn't cut you in half like your Darth Maul and the Phantom Menace.
It would not do that, no. You know the initial battle? The one where Russell Crowe's looking at the bird and stuff that you were talking about there?
In the woods. The one that was shot in England.
Yes. Yeah. There was some... actually some really, really good accuracies to do with that battle.
All right.
So there's a decent zoom out shot which actually shows the different cohorts of the Roman soldiers advancing in formation, in actually really good formation considering the battle terrain.
Yeah.
Which is accurate for Romans. They would have that beaten into them as soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to keep a very rigid and tight formation, especially considering these are the Rhine legions. These are the ultimate trained, these are basically like special forces for the Romans.
Yeah.
And it shows Germans fighting in a much more, or the Germanic tribe people that were fighting in a much more disorganized fashion and using like forest and that as cover, which is a very accurate sort of portrayal of the kind of resistance that the Romans would have had in those regions. It shows them wearing largely very accurate armor. Some of the inaccurate pieces of armor that turn up are the likes of Russell Crowe's helmet in the Gladiator tournaments later on.
What can you do?
But they wanted to cover his face, but not also completely cover his face. They still wanted to make it worth paying Russell Crowe
to show up to set.
To show up.
I tell you about one thing that did bother me about the movie Gladiator.
What's that?
That guy that's meant to be, he's Russell Crowe's pal at the beginning, right? And he betrays him when Marcus dies.
Yeah.
No comeuppance for that felly.
No.
That guy needed to be fucking dead. I know that at the end he's like, don't give Commodus your sword. That's not enough, mate.
Yeah.
You were a prick for years.
Yeah.
And you betrayed Russell Crowe and you let his family get killed.
Yeah, you ordered his family to get killed on behalf of the Emperor.
Exactly.
The now Emperor.
Is it Quintus?
Yeah, I believe it is Quintus, yeah.
Yeah. Look at that. Pulled it right out of my fucking arse.
But yeah. Otherwise, I would say that Gladiator, it's a cracking film, and it has a lot of accuracies, a lot of inaccuracies, like when Maximus tosses that sword, throws the sword and impales someone. The likelihood of that ever actually happening, even remotely, almost none. Because it would not have flown like that, or floated like that, or been launched in that way. But it wouldn't. The trajectory of the sword would not have happened like that because of the massively imbalanced hilt that it had.
That is.
Yep.
That's the magic of cinema.
Oh, I'm aware, but I just think that it's like a weirdly unnecessary part of it for me.
Right.
You've got the cavalry that he is being brought there by. They wouldn't have just carried the short swords. Cavalry don't typically use just short swords.
Mm-hmm.
So they would have, obviously there was the guy that had the short sword there, but he would have also had a spear or a javelin right there.
Yeah.
So he could have just picked that up and...
Is that about where the sword? What about the sword where the sword's flaming and it gets stuck in the tree when he cuts that guy's head off? What do you think of that?
I think that's a lot more realistic in the fact that...
but is it cool, David? Is it cool?
It is
his sword was on fire
cool.
And he cut a guy's head off and the sword got stuck in the tree and he came and he got it back later on. Is that not cool?
Yes, it is.
That's all I need. This has to be cool for me.
It was cool. And I think overall, like I said, I think it was a great movie. There was a couple of niggling factors about it for me that I was like, it could have been just as cool without that, and also historically or physically possible. You know what I mean?
I don't give a rat's arse about historical accuracies generally, or about
whether or not it's physically possible
to throw a sword and hit a man in the chest or whatever.
Yeah, a sort of that kind. But yeah,
what did you think of Commodus and Joaquin Phoenix in general?
Fuck the Joker.
No, we're not talking about the Joker.
I'm aware.
We've done a whole hour-long episode where we said fuck the Joker. What do you think about Commodus and Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal, his performance in this movie? What do you think about the bit where he sticks his tongue out?
I actually kind of like that.
So did I.
I like some of what he does with this, and I think some of it's very unnecessary.
I think personally the idea that the portrayal of him is he's a nut job, I hate that.
Yeah.
I much prefer the idea that he is like a man-child who should never have become emperor.
Yeah.
He's going to starve Rome because all he wants to do is watch games happen.
Yeah, watch and compete in games. Yeah. And that's it. I think that's fairly accurate as well in the fact that it should have been portrayed a bit more along that lines as opposed to being someone who's insane.
It's like the idea that we mentioned this earlier on, that training thing that he does at the beginning.
Yeah.
The idea that those 5 guys who are around him have to stand still with their swords and let him beat them. Yeah. Or he'll have like a tantrum. Because he has to win. That's what I feel the character should have been. Yeah. And not, well, he's got a pretty twisted worldview.
Yeah,
This guy, if fridges existed, this guy would climb in
one.
He'd climb in one.
He's been in the ice house a number of times.
Let me tell you, if this guy was on a talk show, if Commodus was on a talk show, then somebody
Robert De Niro would be in trouble.
He'd get what he fucking deserves.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that everything we've got to say about the movie Gladiator?
I don't know. I think so. I'm not really sure. Great film.
What's that? Well, you can have a think while I go through Letters in a Boxed.
Very good.
David, it's time for Letters in a Boxed.
Very good.
This is the segment of the show where I go through reviews of this film on Letterboxd and I read them aloud.
Nice. You picked some sort of positive and some negatives.
Yep.
All right, lay it on me.
Jay writes 3.5 stars. Damn, he was 2 days away from retirement.
3.5 stars though?
I know, that's a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Mario writes 5 stars. Are you not entertained? Actually, I am very entertained, but thank you for asking, Mr. Crowe. I really appreciate your concern. Adam Bolt writes 1.5 stars.
Ooh.
I was not entertained. 3 out of 10.
Fucking hell.
Jizz Monkey.
Yep.
Jizz Monkey writes 3 stars.
Okay.
Gladiator, in which a Roman general loses his family and freedom and is forced to become an Australian. Well, David, that's I think
the
end that of Letters in a wraps us up.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just overall, cracking film.
A great historical epic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And David.
Yep.
Do you want me to tell you what film? This is the first time you're hearing this.
Oh.
What movie we will be back to cover
next.
Do you want to know what film we're covering?
Sure. Lay it on me. What are we covering?
What if I were to do this, David? David, what if I did that with my heels? What if I clicked them together? What then? Where would I go?
I don't know.
What if I said there's no place like home and I did that? What if I was wearing red ruby slippers? You absolute fucking simpleton. What?
We're talking about the Wizard of Oz then.
That's right. Next episode we will be back to cover the 1939 cinematic masterpiece, The Wizard of Oz.
Very good. Okay, nice.
To ride the Algorithmic Express for the release of Wicked, starring Ariana Venti.
Very good. Nice.
That's a joke because her name's Ariana Grande, and Grande and Venti are both coffee sizes.
Yes. This has been Movie House. I've been your host David, and with me as always has been my co-host Connor.
May the Gladi be ever in your ater.
Okay.
That's been me. I've been here.
Yeah, you have indeed.
You can check out our Instagram, Movie House Podcast.
Yep.
Or our Twitter, T422. Mm-hmm. We're also on Instagram under T422.
Yeah, T422 Productions.
That's correct. Check out our other podcast, Insert Brain Here, a Simpsons podcast. Mm-hmm. Releases every Wednesday morning, in which we cover The Simpsons.
Yeah, episode by episode.
We're on season 3 right now.
Yeah. Whew.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Scissor me, bizarre nips.
The fuck?
That's all from us.
Yeah.
Tatty bye.
Ta.
Bye. T422 Productions, honey boy.